My name is Margaret, and I am the host of My Wonderful Knitting Life. This is a channel mostly about knitting, and today you find me back at the family cottage in Ontario. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you might have a bit of an idea as to why I'm back at the family cottage. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, my 10-year-old Pomeranian, Pippa, passed away. It was not from natural causes, and I don't want to get into the details too much because it was a really unpleasant situation. But it's hard to stay away from personal things, especially when they affect your knitting. We encountered a couple of huskies while we were out for a walk, and an 8-pound Pomeranian just is not a match for that type of dog. They had gotten loose from their yard, and thankfully my other dog Toby, who is a rescue, a pug something mix, he's doing just fine, but we are both really trying to adjust to the change in our life because Pippa really filled a room. She was a very noisy dog, a dog full of lots of personality, and due to the situation, I was given a couple of weeks off of work, and I decided that I really needed to leave the town that I work in northern Quebec, on the shores of the St. Lawrence, and come home. And I brought Pippa with me, and she is now with the other pets in the back garden at our cottage. And that just felt like the right thing. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because I was also hurt, not badly, but in all of the situation that evolved, I was knocked off my feet. I fell off the sidewalk into the road and landed on my left hand. And as you can see, my fourth finger is not what it should be, and my wrist neither. So I've really had a hard time knitting, and that is one of my comfort things. When we've got visitors, this is Suki. She is a stray that I picked up on the Magdalen Islands when I lived there and worked there for a couple of years. And my animals are extremely friendly. All right, there you go, Suki. Now where was I? Yeah, so my hand not being what it should be, I haven't been able to knit quite as much as I would like to, and during stressful times, I find that is a real outlet, and I'm sure a lot of you understand that as well. But I have slowly been able to pick up knitting English style because my right hand is just fine, and I'm able to hold the yarn in my left hand, but continental is out of the question, and color work, because I knit with two hands, is also out of the question at the moment. But being back at the cottage for the first time in 12 years in October has been a real gift. It's been very healing. It's been beautiful. We've had gorgeous weather. The trees have been phenomenal with their changes of color. And when I first got here, we really had summer temperatures. And the last couple of days have turned more into true fall. It's windy today, about 9 degrees, and I have been able to put a little fire in our wood stove, which has been really nice and cozy. All right, so what have I been up to? Well, there's been a couple of things I've been really working on, and something I worked on before the accident with my hand. But first I'll start off with what I'm wearing. This is something that I brought back home with me, because I am slowly moving back to the cottage. This, I think I made maybe 10 or 12 years ago. This is the Virus Shawl, and you can find this on Ravelry. I think when I picked this up, it was a free pattern, but I do believe it's not a free pattern anymore. I made this out of Noro sock yarn, and I'm not sure which one, but I do know it was Noro. Noro is really stunning for colors, but it is definitely not the softest of yarns. So that's something to consider when you're looking into choosing your yarn for something that's going to go around your neck. I do love it and I do wear it, but it's a little bit crispy and crunchy on the neck. So that's something to keep in mind. But a beautiful pattern and fun to wear. I really love this one. So let me take a look at my notes. So the Botanic Shawl, as I mentioned last time when I podcasted, this is a redo. So I'm making this for the second time now. And what happened when I made it the first time was I followed Stephen West's pattern completely, which has you increasing every second row. And I ended up with a very, very large, wide triangle, but too short to be the type of shawl that I would wear. So I ripped it out with my daughter, as I explained in my last video. And what I'm doing now is I'm increasing every fourth row. And I'm extremely happy with the results. This is my little progress keeper, my little cheerleader, as I like to call it. And that's where I left off last time. And this is really all I've been able to work on since my hand got injured. But I'm really plugging away at it. It's not getting too wide. So I am just going to keep going the way it is. And I will knit it as far as my Zauberball will last. So this is a Zauberball. It has a wonderful slow color change. I love this yarn. And I find that the purple is very, very beautiful next to this green. Not a color combination I would think of, but it just works so well. And the green is such a fresh color, like a real leaf, spring leaf, fresh color. And I'm really enjoying this. It's very simple, but it looks like it's difficult. So I would highly suggest this for an experienced beginner. It's not difficult at all and kind of fun to be making a Stephen West project right now with the 𝐉𝐀𝐂𝐊 happening. I'm not participating in the 𝐉𝐀𝐂𝐊 and I haven't before, but I do think next year that is something I'm going to join. I really would like to give it a try. And this year's has been a little bit complicated, as some of you may know, but his patterns are stunning and there's so much to be learned by doing his projects. So that is my Botanic Shawl by Stephen West, and what a great project. But I would really recommend checking into the increases depending on what kind of shawl you would like to end up with, because I like a more narrow one that's much longer, because I like to wrap mine around my neck like this, and I find, you know, I can pull them up and it really keeps the wind from going down my neck. And I live in Canada, so in the winter we definitely get the colder weather. So after my last podcast, I got a lot of feedback about Sidsel Hoivik's jackets and projects. And a lot of people commented that there would be no way they could do these projects. They were too difficult for them. Somebody even called me an expert knitter, which it's a really wonderful compliment. But to be honest with you, I do not feel like an expert knitter. I would more classify myself as a very experienced intermediate, because I really do have to look up things all the time. I often rip things out and correct myself, and I'm always learning. So, you know, people like Roxanne Richardson, who you may or may not know, she does a podcast. Like, I really think of her as being the guru of knitting. I'm not there yet. I'm still on that learning curve. But with this idea of these jackets and projects being too difficult, I would say that they're really not. There's a lot of choice with her projects if you're interested. And just to let you know, I am not sponsored by anyone, including Sidsel Hoivik. I just really love her work. And so does my daughter. She does have simpler projects on her website if you want to go and take a look. And one of them is the Sun in Setesdal. Sun in Setesdal, I believe it's pronounced. And this is a sweater that my daughter is working on. It's a pullover sweater, so it is not a steeked jacket. It has dropped sleeves, and it is definitely a more simple colorwork sweater, and it does have some lovely embellishments when it's finished. So there's definitely projects, if you're interested, for people who are more experienced beginners moving into the intermediate level of skill. So I wouldn't stop yourself from trying one of these projects if you're really sold on doing them, because there's projects out there for everybody on her website. Noticing that my light keeps going in and out, so I hope that's not going to be a problem, but I'll have to take a look at that later. All right, so I did show you the yarn for the project called the Albertine Jacket by Sidsel Hoivik. And before I hurt my hand, I really got into this project very quickly. I think 5 days I did all of this and absolutely loved it. So I'm going to walk you through what it's like to start one of these projects and the steps that would be involved in doing the jacket. And as I knit the jacket, I'll tell you the different steps that are involved, and maybe that will support some of you wanting to try a Norwegian jacket or Scandinavian jacket, because a lot of the jackets are designed in a similar way. And I'm seeing that more and more now that I'm interested in the Norwegian style jackets and sweaters. So you always begin with Sidsels anyway, and this is my third. So they've all started the same way, where you do this stocking stitch facing and then do a purl ridge. And what this is for is that when you're finished your jacket, you turn it over and sew it down, and it gives some great structure to the jacket at the bottom. So it's really solid, it's not going to curl on you, and it just has a beautiful effect. And those purl bumps is where Sidsel then takes advantage of those being at the bottom to put in some decorative edging. And she really goes to town on the embellishments and the decorative edging. So it's super, super fun. And this project actually has three more colors of purple. So I'm just working with 2 in the color work, and then this facing is this other color of purple. So I completed that facing, and that was really simple to go through. And then I started in on the color work. And the color work is using just 2 colors, very traditional style of doing color work. So long as you follow the pattern, you're good to go. And I am finding this pattern somewhat memorizable. So from that perspective, I mean, it looks like it's not, but it's quite an easy pattern to follow. And it doesn't have super long floats, although I am catching them occasionally at the back. You can see my big mess back there. So I am doing that. Oops, I lost a few stitches. I'll have to fix that after. So I am doing that, and it's going really well, and I'm loving this. The steek, which is in the front, let me find that. Here we go. So there's another aspect of her projects. The facing is knit back and forth. That part I wasn't too fond of because I do not like purling. I find I'm much slower on the purling than I am on the knitting, especially now that I know how to do the continental style. But this is the steek. So these are like false stitches. They are not going to be a part of the jacket. They are going to be cut. Okay, and because this is a rustic yarn, there's not going to be too much of a problem with it running or, you know, scary loss of stitches. And I know some people will even cut this without sewing beside where they're going to cut. And you can sew with a sewing machine, or you can sew by hand. It really is up to you. I've done both and they both work very well. So you put in these false stitches, and Sidsel actually suggests 5, but I have done 7. Okay. And you only start those after the facing. So you have to add those stitches in so that you've got that for your steek, because this is a cardigan and it will have a button band attached. This will be cut, it will be turned under, and then you will pick up stitches to do your button band. But as I go along, I'll talk a little bit more about that. I decided to do 7 just to safeguard myself a little bit, gives me a little extra wiggle room. And sometimes these stitches are done more like a checkerboard, but I decided to do the stripes because when you cut, it is a lot easier to follow a line of color than it is to deal with a checkerboard. So that has been why I decided to do it that way. But I'm really, really enjoying this project. The colors are fantastic. I love purple, as you probably already know. And one more thing about this project, which I haven't done before, is duplicate stitch. On the bottom, all in here, with the other purple colors, there's going to be duplicate stitch. So there's going to be some outlining, some accent colors here and there. And when that is all finished, then of course, Sidsel's sequins and little diamond beads, they will all be sewn on as well. And if you love embellishing projects, Sidsel is the embellishing queen. She just loves to go to town on that stuff. It is work intensive, but it really does give for a statement piece. And I can honestly say that if I was to choose one designer to follow for the rest of my life, it would be her. I would never get bored, and I'd be quite happy to keep knitting her projects from now until the end of time. I just love them. So that is my Albertine jacket, and hopefully when my hand starts to feel a little bit better, I will be able to get back into that and update you to my project progress, and maybe gives you some hints about making one of these projects. So since I'm at the cottage, I have found a few unfinished projects that I really do want to finish. I don't have patterns for these two because they have really been archives. But this one is a little, it's going to be a cowl actually. I started this a while back, and this is crochet. So I'm just going to follow what I see here. There's chains and single crochets, and then the two ends of the project get sewn together. But it is kind of a fun little piece. It's one of those decorative art yarns. And I picked this yarn up in a big sale, and I think I got the yarn for maybe 50 cents a ball. I really don't know the name of this company. FFF Shine is what this was called. And it is made in Italy, and it is polyamide and viscose. It's 100 meters, 50-gram ball. And I just picked it up and decided to do a little fun project with it. And it is super fun yarn. And, you know, I kind of wrapped this around my neck and thought, you know what, this is really pretty. I'm going to finish this and I'm going to wear this. It's, again, kind of like a statement piece. So that is something that doesn't need a lot more work. It is crochet and on quite a fine needle, but it's getting there. The other project that I'm almost at the end of, and I did this quite a long time ago, but I have decided I'm gonna get the tassels done and be done. So this is a shawl that I saw in a Wool Time tent sale. It is a short row shawl using orange and blue, and again, maybe not a color combination I would use. And it was my first experience with short rows. But it is super cute, super pretty. And the yarn is called Patons Denemy. I don't know if that is still a yarn that you can pick up in stores. It's very possible that the reason why I got this on sale is that it was discontinued. It is a cotton, 68 cotton, 16% wool and 16% acrylic. It seems maybe you can wash this on a delicate cycle, although I would always recommend washing by hand. It was a free pattern from yarnspirations.com. And I think where I probably got the pattern was on the ball band, or possibly they had a leaflet at the sale that, you know, was free, but I definitely know it was a free pattern. And it was my first experience with short rows, and I learned a lot, and I really like the effect. This was a great project, a starter project with short rows to kind of get the hang of it. So that was another thing that I found here that I thought, you know what? I think I am going to finish that, put some tassels on it and wear it because it's so cute. So another thing that happened this past week, and it was a bit bittersweet because my mood obviously has been a little bit sad. But then I turned around and lo and behold, I hit and went past the 1,000 subscriber mark. And that was pretty exciting. Everybody talks about the 1,000 subscriber mark being, you know, that pivotal point in a YouTube channel where you feel like, you know what, I'm going to keep going with this. This seems to be well received. And you know what, it's been kind of fun. So I'm going to keep doing it. So before I came here, I went to a little store. We call it the Christmas store where I live, but they have the local yarn dyer's yarn, which is called 𝐻𝐬𝐃𝐍 laine, which means, I think, Big Bear Yarns. And we are in a bear region, so maybe that's the reason why the yarn dyers decided to call the yarn that name. And I have bought their yarn before and used it, and it's just beautiful. So I knew I was getting close to 1,000 subscribers, so I really wanted to go and pick up a prize. And I thought a local yarn would be such a great way to celebrate. And I don't know if this is going to come out as spectacular as it is, but it is the faintest lavender. And it does have, if you can see that, tiny little pops of color in there. And I just thought, you know, trying to pick a yarn for a prize is not easy because not everybody likes the same colors. But I thought this could go with anything and be enjoyed by really anyone, because, you know, it's not some off the side kind of color that would appeal to just a small percentage of people. And this is their 100% merino superwash base, and it is a single ply, 400 meters, 100 grams. And they call it their Mizar line. And then this is what really got me. The name of the yarn is Noro. And the yarn dyer was actually in the store. It's a pair of ladies who do the yarn dyeing. And she told me that Noro is one of their grandmothers and just a very sweet and gentle lady. And I thought, well, that just spoke to me. This is the perfect colorway for the 1,000 subscriber prize. And when I told her what it was for, she gifted me one of their bags. So that will also be a part of the prize that I will send out to the person who wins it. So I followed a lot of people who've done prizes before. So if you can write a comment in the comment box below and tell me what project you're working on right now. And that will enter you into the 100 subscriber prize. And I will get my daughters to help me figure out how to choose which one will work for that. We'll have a random generator somehow. We'll do that, and that will be the prize. So I'm really excited to get that out to somebody. That's going to be really fun. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you was some acquisitions. Something maybe not so fantastically spectacular, but we have a very, very small secondhand store near the cottage, and it is a really spectacular model of what a secondhand store can be. It has been there, I think, something like 80 years. The city, it's kind of an under the carpet kind of thing, because the city doesn't charge them anything for having this old building. It is run by over 200 volunteers, and all of the profits go to, I'm going to try closing the blinds. Just hold on a second. I'm just going to pause because I think that light is because of the trees and the shadows outside. Okay, let's see if that works better, because I was noticing the light was coming in and out, and I think it's because the wind is blowing and there's shadows that are happening from the window. We'll see. We'll give that a try. Anyway, the secondhand store, every dime that they make goes to the local hospital, and they have been able to contribute enough money to build wings on this small town hospital. So it is just a phenomenal organization. You can drive up to the back of the store and drop off what you don't need, and then go to the front and buy some new things. So I love to go in there and see what they have. And we have picked up many a treasure from them. We have picked up crystal bowls for $2. You name it, things come through there like you wouldn't believe. So I picked up a few things that I might give a shot to sewing when I get a little bit more time. So this is one of them. This is a pattern that they had in the store, and I paid $1 for it. And one of the things I really wanted to make lately is that hinterland dress that everybody is making. And when I found this, I thought, you know what? That's not that far off what the hinterland dress is. So I might give this a try since I have the pattern. And the pattern's never been cut. It is in perfect condition inside. And I've made many a simplicity pattern before, and I think I'm good to go. And the size is also perfect. So that was one thing that I picked up. Another thing that I picked up was this little gem. This is a quilted project bag, and I thought I could do an awful lot with that. I could just use the dimensions to make project bags. It's a really good start for making a project bag, and I thought that would be really fun. I have a lot of fabric because I used to do full-size quilts, which I haven't done so much recently, but I thought I could really go to town on some project bags. So I picked that little gem up. I also have a number of ripped jeans that were accidentally ripped. So I picked up some patches. I think they charged me 25 cents a patch here. So that's a really good thing to have in my stash. And then I think this was $1. This is a quilting ruler. And I don't know that I'll use it, but I have friends that quilt, and I'd be quite happy to gift it to them so they could use it. But these things are not cheap. And I thought, you know what? I could put a star on a project bag now that I have the ruler. So I love secondhand stores. It's treasure hunting. Sometimes you can even find excellent yarn there. So don't hesitate to check out your local yarn store. All right, so that's all I have for today. I will keep you updated with my Norwegian jacket progress. I hope to get back to that soon when my hand is feeling a little bit better. I wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Take care, happy knitting, and if you have enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.